Have you ever watched the morning light spill over the edge of a roof? Not fast, not loud, just arriving silently, as if it had always been there. That's how peace enters a life, not with fireworks, but with presence. The mind does not awaken all at once. It stirs like a child from sleep, slow and unsure, and yet, once awakened, it sees what was always there. Stillness, clarity, a kind of freedom, not born from escape, but from returning. You were not born restless. You were born breathing, quiet, whole. But the world, it speaks loudly. It pulls you, pushes you, fills your pockets with goals that aren't yours and dreams that don't fit your soul. The noise taught your mind to race. But there is a way back. Discipline is not a cage, not the cold metal bars of control. True discipline, the discipline of monks, is the warm container of peace, a bowl to hold your mind, not to bind it, a cup for still water, not a lid on fire. Every day, a monk wakes before the sun, not to chase the day, but to greet it. Before the world says who they should be, they sit, still, unmoved, eyes closed, ears open to the breath. That breath is not just air, it is awareness, arriving again. What if you met your mornings like that? Before emails, before mirrors, before memories have time to paint your face with yesterday? What if your first act was presence, not performance? The first discipline is not action, it is attention. Feel the way your breath enters, leaves. Don't force it, don't chase it, just allow. You're not taming the breath, you're witnessing the mind return to where it never really left. When monks sweep the floor, they sweep once for the dust and once for the mind. The act itself is simple. The presence within it makes it sacred. Washing a bowl, folding a robe, walking barefoot on stone. These are not chores. They are portals. You don't need a monastery. The kitchen can be your temple. The sound of boiling water, your gong, the act of making tea, your ritual, each moment, an invitation to return. The second discipline is devotion not to gods or temples, but to this very moment, to bring your full self into the act of now, not mechanically, but reverently. When was the last time you did something slowly, not out of laziness, but out of love? The world teaches speed, but monks teach depth. Depth over haste, intention over impression. In the monastery of your life, your mind is both the guest and the host. It is the wind and the chime. It is not wrong for the wind to blow, but it is wise to know which direction it comes from. That is mindfulness. When a monk walks, they walk, not to arrive, but to be. Every step touches the earth like a blessing. Every footfall is a dialogue with the ground. This is the third discipline movement without rush. You can walk from your bedroom to the kitchen like a monk crossing mountains, with breath in sync with foot, with eyes open to the miracle of floor beneath you. And suddenly, your house is not a task, it is a temple, and you are home. Let the mind return to rhythm, not routine. Rhythm, the natural beat of your being, waking, eating, working, resting, not as commands, but as cycles. The way a tree knows when to bloom, the way a tide knows when to pull back. You don't need to escape your life to find peace. You only need to relate to it differently. A monk doesn't live without chaos. A monk lives within it, undisturbed, because the anchor is internal, not external. How do you find that anchor? By returning to what is always here. The breath, the body, the now. The fourth discipline is space, not the absence of things, but the presence of nothingness, the gap between notes that makes music, the silence between words that gives them shape. In your day, carve space, a pause before reply, a stillness between tasks, a breath before bite. The world will call you lazy, but that pause is where clarity waits. Monks listen more than they speak, not because they lack words, but because they respect them. They know words can wound or water, and so they choose them like seeds. The fifth discipline is speech, not silence, but sacred speech. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Not every truth is needed. Not every thought is worthy of sound. Speak like you are shaping your own karma, because you are. In temples, every bell has a purpose. Every chant, a vibration meant to heal. What if your words, too, could become bells? What if each sentence you spoke was a bridge toward peace within and without? Train your voice like a monk trains breath with awareness. And then there's thought. The sixth discipline is witnessing. The mind creates movies, scenarios, worries. It wants to prepare you, protect you, but it forgets. It is not real. You are not your thoughts. You are the sky that watches them pass. Watch the thought of anger. Let it burn out like incense. Watch the thought of fear. Let it pass like a storm. Do not hold. Do not hate. Just return, always return. That is discipline, not in force, but in return, 1,000 times if needed. You will forget and remember and forget again. That is not failure. That is practice. That is the seventh discipline. Gentle persistence. Discipline is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You come back, but deeper, you fall, but softer, you wander, but with awareness. And one day, you find yourself where you always were, but you can finally see it. Peace is not a destination. It is a way of walking, of eating, of breathing, of seeing. You do not need robes, or rituals, or retreats. You need presence, rhythm, silence, intention. You need to train your mind like a monk, not for power, not for praise, but for peace. And peace will train you back. It begins with a breath, always. It begins there. But then it deepens not into action, but into awareness, into the slow, disciplined art of remembering what you are. The mind will wander. That is its nature. Like a river, it bends. But even rivers return to the sea. Do not be angry at your mind for forgetting. Smile at it. Bring it back like a kind parent guiding a curious child. Not punishment, presence. This is the eighth discipline. Compassion for yourself. Monks vow not to worship something outside, but to acknowledge something within. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is seeing yourself clearly, without masks, without the need to be more or less. Just this, just now, just enough. In a world that applauds noise, your quietness is a rebellion. In a time that rewards speed, your slowness is a revolution. In a culture of endless proving, your peaceful presence is proof enough. Let that be your vow not to outshine, but to outquiet, to walk as one who needs no explanation, to live in such a way that your breath becomes your resume, your stillness, your statement. Monks do not avoid the world. They transform how they walk through it. Discipline is not withdrawal. It is presence with direction. When anger arises, a monk does not suppress it. They observe it, bow to it, and let it pass, like smoke from incense, rising and vanishing into the air. That is the ninth discipline. Emotional awareness. Feelings are not failures. They are signals, invitations. You are not bad for feeling rage, envy, sorrow. You are human. What you do next, that is the training. Sit with your sadness. Pour it a cup of tea. Ask it where it comes from, what it needs. Do not rush it away. Do not label it weakness. Monks sit with their shadows. That is why they do not fear the dark. The lotus grows from mud. No discipline means denying the mud. True discipline means blooming through it. And when anxiety swells in the chest like a storm approaching, do not run. Do not drown. Return. Anchor. Breathe. This is not a trick. It is a path. The 10th discipline, returning to the body. Feel your feet. Feel your spine. Feel the warmth in your hands. That is your temple. That is your ground. The mind will pull you into futures, catastrophes, what ifs, but the body always lives now. It cannot time travel. That is your gift. When you are overwhelmed, do not ask, what should I do? Ask, where am I right now? What do I see? What do I hear? And the world will slow, and you will arrive again. Monks chant, not to be heard by others, but to tune their own frequency. When your mind races, breathe out sound. Let it vibrate through your bones. Let it ground you. That is the 11th discipline, vibrational presence. Your voice has power, even if only you hear it, especially then. And then, the silence between sound, the sacred pause, the resting note. In silence, you meet yourself most honestly, not the curated self, not the public face, but the being that exists before any name. What do you hear in that space? Judgment, guilt, longing. Let it rise, let it fall, and still you sit. There is nowhere to go. You are already here. And now, the 12th discipline, contentment without condition. The monk does not wait for the world to behave to be at peace. They do not wait for perfect health, perfect love, perfect income. Peace is not the reward, it is the path. You will never be free. If freedom depends on what happens next, you will never be still. If stillness waits for silence outside, you are not here to control the world. You are here to master how you meet it. That is the essence of training, not to change everything, but to change how you meet everything. Like bamboo in the wind rooted, yet flexible. You do not need to resist every storm. You can bend, you can bow, and still stand when it passes. This is the discipline of adaptability. A monk is not untouched by pain, but they are unshaken by it. They know that joy and grief are two petals on the same branch, that to live fully is not to choose one over the other, but to hold them both gently in the same breath. Today may bring chaos. Let it come. Your peace is not at its mercy. Today may bring beauty. Let it arrive. Your peace does not depend on it. You are steady because you trained your mind to return to now, to breath, to enough. This is not a performance. This is a remembering. Train your mind like a monk, not to escape the world, but to meet it so fully that even the suffering becomes sacred. And then, when life asks you hard questions, you won't panic. You'll bow, you'll breathe, you'll listen, you will answer, not with fear, but with clarity. You will walk, not to prove, but to be, and every act will become your practice. Every day, your discipline, every breath, your peace, and when the day ends, as it always does, you will not feel you've won or lost. You will feel returned, not to a goal, but to yourself. When monks lie down at night, they do not count victories. They count awareness. Was I present? Not did I succeed, but did I live truthfully, kindly, clearly? That is the 13th discipline. Closing the day with gratitude instead of judgment. What would it mean to lay your head down, not in exhaustion, but in peace? No mind race, no replay, just breath, just body, just now. As the crickets begin their evening chorus and the sky folds itself into deep blue, know this: the peace you seek is not found in fixing every part of your life. It is in the way you carry it. A bowl may be cracked, but it still holds water. A life may be messy, but it can still be mindful. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be aware. That awareness, kept gently in your chest, is your lantern in the dark. The 14th discipline, to see clearly even when nothing makes sense. You were not meant to rush through this world. You were meant to touch it with care, with honesty, with slowness. Train your eyes to see not only what's wrong, but what's always been quietly right. A falling leaf, a smile from a stranger, the steam curling from a bowl of rice, the silence before a bird sings. Monks see what others overlook, not because they try harder, but because they look softer. Try that. Not harder, softer, not stricter. Kinda, not busier, deeper. This is how the mind is trained, not in force, but in fluidity, like the way water smooths stone. Patient, unseen, certain. There is one more discipline, perhaps the most important, the 15th discipline: trust. To trust that even when you feel lost, your breath is not To trust that discipline does not mean tightening, it means aligning. To trust that in returning to yourself again and again, something holy happens. You do not need to be a monk to live like one. You only need to remember that peace is not a place you arrive at. It is the way you walk, with attention, with reverence, with breath. You are not here to impress. You are here to awaken to a peace that isn't given, but uncovered, like mist revealing the mountain, like morning light spilling over the edge of the roof. Train your mind like a monk, not so you can become someone else, but so you can return to the one who is never truly gone, quiet, whole, enough. And when the world grows loud again, as it will, you will smile and sit and return